Greetings, YouTube. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion. It's a pretty simple line. It's easy to remember. It's not a complex concept. In layman's terms, it says that basically means that the U.S. government is not in the job of the God business. Doesn't matter what branch of the government we're talking about, federal, state, local. The government can't establish a church. It does not involve itself in religious doctrine. Well, at least until quite recently. It seems that in Missouri, the legislative and executive branches have never read this particular document, the Bill of Rights, because they just recently passed a law, and the governor declined to veto it, so it went into power, that said that absolutely that a human being's life begins at conception, that the soul is infused into a human being at conception. That would be religious doctrine, not something that a secular government should be involving themselves in. They're also requiring that this language is going to be displayed or directly spoken to any woman in the state of Missouri that wants an abortion. Of course, the goal behind this is to shame someone into not having an abortion, to guilt them into not having an abortion. It is a form of coercion. Now, I'm not really sure why the conservatives of the world are in arms about this. Because remember, that whole concept of small government, of government not sticking its fingers into the health care of American citizens? Well, this would be one of those cases where the government is sticking a whole lot more than its finger into someone's health care. And yet, I hear nothing coming from the conservative constituency about why this is wrong and how they should strike it down. In fact, the conservatives seem to be supporting this kind of thing, which is ironic and hypocritical. Not something I'm surprised about, however. You see, when the church and state are separate, as it should be in our secular nation, it's the best for the church and the state. These things should not meddle with each other. They should not fuse with each other, if you will. They should definitely not be telling people what to do with their own bodies. And, as much as people may not like it, abortion is a decision a woman has to make about herself, for herself. No one else should be making that decision for her. I know this is an unpopular position. I have been lambasted on more than one occasion because I have spoken about the woman's right to choose, the woman's right to decide for herself what happens to her own body. Because I can't think of anything more yours than your body. I mean, I recently went and had this pulled out of my head. I'm keeping it. You know why? It's mine. I can't think of anything in the world I own more than this. Why? It was always part of me, and now it's not. So I'd like to keep it. So if somebody tells you that you can't do something with your body, you want to be asking them why. What is your reasoning behind this? Do you really have my best interests in mind? Or do you know, possibly are you trying to get an agenda put forward? Because I'm thinking it's the latter in this case. People are trying to push their religious worldview onto others. People who obviously don't share that same religious worldview. There's a very salient point at the end of the article I'm going to link to today. One moment, I have a pop-up in my way. Kathy DiNicola of Planned Parenthood, Minnesota, North Dakota, South Dakota, and the organization has said their organization has complied with the federal court decision, but she said, "We have not seen women change their minds as a result of our doctors having to deliver this language." As polarizing as the abortion debate is, on the subject of religious doctrine incorporated into government health warnings, all sides agree. We shouldn't be crafting legislation based on differing faith systems, and I'd much rather use our Constitution. I don't know if I could agree much more with something other than to say, amen, sister.